Hi everybody, I hope you're doing well. I'm actually traveling this week, which is why I'm not in my normal environment, not in my home office or in my office on campus. But I am still checking my email and I'm definitely still reading the discussion and excited about what you guys are saying. So in this video, I am going to talk a little bit about week 5. So I'm going to once again talk a little bit about the different readings and then also just sort of briefly introduce the next major assignment, which is a synthesis paper, which I'll say about just a little bit more about in a few minutes. Like most past weeks, I have included a sort of short introduction to the readings, which I encourage you to read before you do them. So we have 2 readings for this week. One is a sort of an excerpt or a sort of short paper by Anne Berthoff called Learning the Uses of Chaos. And then we're also reading chapter 4 of Cynthia Urbanski's book, Using the Workshop Approach in the High School English Classroom. And as I explain in the introduction to the readings, both of these readings touch on the idea of invention, which is a term that composition scholars use to talk about the generation of ideas. Also, just a heads up, the excerpt that you have by Anne Berthoff is fairly short, but it's also very difficult. It's probably the most difficult text that we're reading this semester. So do give yourself some time to spend on that. And if you don't sort of fully get what's going on, that's okay. When you go into the introduction, and I'll go ahead and open that here, you'll notice that in addition to giving you an overview, I've given you some questions, some guiding questions that sort of provide a starting point for identifying some of the key points and the key takeaways of this reading, at least for this class. There's a lot more to dive into this class, but as far as what I want us to focus on and what I think is important for this class, these questions should help you sort of get to that point and give you at least a foothold in a fairly difficult text. And then I've also given you just a bit of an overview and a few sort of guiding questions also for the chapter from Cynthia Urbanski's book. Okay, so in addition to that and the 2 readings, I've also gone ahead and put a link to the instructions for the next major assignment, which is the synthesis paper, which is due at the end of week 6. So not this week, but the next week, and there will be a draft of that due. And I'm going to post a video, hopefully this weekend, that goes over that in more detail. But I do want to let you know that that's there and give you a heads up to take a look at that. And let me know if you have any questions about that. And then finally, once again this week, we have someone who is moderating for us. And so I will not be posting the discussion questions or posting a link to the discussion until I get those discussion questions, which will hopefully be sometime on Sunday night or early on a Monday morning. But in the meantime, you can get started on the readings, and you can also take a look at those guiding questions that I've given you in the readings. In the meantime, let me know if you have any questions.